Hello, welcome to West Enemy Sims. My name is Kelvin and how are you doing? We are back with another speed build. We are going to China, building a Chinese village for Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. Now, this is the second time I'm doing a Chinese-inspired build in my Round the World with The Sims 2. And if you're wondering why I started this speed build, already have the terrain and some of the plots already settled, some of the houses already built. Well, my first part of my video of terraforming using terrain tools is corrupted. I'm so sorry for that, but it is for the good because it takes like almost 2 hours plus to get this terrain what it is now. So I am saving you a lot of time for watching this, me struggling to get into my speed build. So what happened before the recording of the video is using the terrain tool to build a huge mountain all the way uphill and build stairs layer by layer going down. Believe me, it's a long 2-hour process that lying it flatten the lot layer by layer to get this terrace staircases all the way down to the ground level for the entrance to stay in. A lot of calculations, a lot of adjustments to make, and I built 4 separate houses. There will be the apartments. This will be an apartment type build, just like the Brazilian favela that I did the last time. I swear the last time I did terraforming and building apartment units, that was taxing, and this is just taking it to another level. So on the first house, what I did is to build a very cheap house with very affordable home for a couple of 2 Sims and a pet dog. As you can see here, there's a lot of really cheap furnishing, not necessarily Chinese inspired, but also have some pet supplies like a dog bowl and a pet bed. And I mainly use only very limited colors like earth tones and browns and wood and stone. That is the inspiration I got from checking Google images on Chinese villages. They mostly are on the hill, not all the time, but it's usually very slopey with a lot of layers of houses crammed in one small area. And it's really breathtaking actually in some of the images I saw. Not to mention on the ground level, they actually have a pond. I would think that would be a fishing pond for Sims to fish, with a bridge built to cross over to the other side to go uphill even further. And the second house will be an L-shaped house. It will be a family of 3 Sims, parents and 1 child, and it built a 2-story house here. But for this house, I struggle a little bit on terms of the layout. I know the front house will be the living room and the dining room area. Then I'm not so sure how to put in the bathroom and the bedrooms. So I added the second floor and put an L-shaped house, L-shaped stairs leading up to the second floor loft will be the parents' room. I sectioned off part of the kitchen will be the kids' room. And this house will have a vegetable plot, gardening plot in front of their house. It will be like the farmers in this household. So yeah, typically most Chinese families in the villages have rice paddy fields. That's not possible in the Sims 2. But vegetables plot, a gardening plot will be an alternative. I do think it's a pretty good idea. And I also struggle a little bit on the roofing side, but I want the roof to be touching to the edge of the wall, and also so I use a gabled roof and then ended up with a roof in the end to make that kind of shape possible. And at the same time, I use plank wooden planked wooden panels for the outside to give a little bit of a different look rather than stone and plastered wall. Now, before I move on to the other two houses, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the West Enemy Sims channel. Currently, my subscriber count is at 545. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for supporting and liking this channel and keep watching my content. It really means a lot to me. For people still wanting to watch Sims 2 content or even Sims 1 and Sims 3 content, could we reach 600 by the end of this month? I really hope so. If you still haven't subscribed to West Enemy Sims and like my content of The Sims 1 to The Sims 3, please do subscribe and get updates on retro Sims content. So in building these 4 apartment units is definitely a really big challenge because I just realized dividing a big plot of land into 4 different houses is not an easy task because all 4 houses will need to share spaces and will have very small plot of land for each of the houses and not a lot of yard. You shall see later that got one house I actually want to squeeze a courtyard in and it's very cramped, a really small courtyard for one of the houses. Later on you will shall see. And I do like this kids bedroom because I put a race car themed bedroom. It's been a while I do very thematic kids bedrooms for quite some time. And all the sheets are like, and I also really like the L-shaped staircases that wrapped around the kitchen. That looks really nice in the end. I do surprise to see it myself, and it looks pretty interesting layout, I must say. And the struggle is always the roofing for each and every house. Pagoda roofs is not very friendly if you're not know how to control and manipulate. And in Asian inspired builds, pagoda roofs is definitely a must. So I learned how to do all of that in different Asian inspired houses. They're all in slightly different styles, but they're all inspired from this curved shaped roof. And in this farmhouse sort of the apartment unit, they have very wood inspired furnishing, very rustic and very country feel. And moving further uphill, I have a octagon shaped house, octagon shaped platform over here. This will be our public park for this Chinese village. And then you shall see me struggling a lot in terms of making a decent roof for that gazebo out here. I also cut a lot of that into a more digestible time frame that you would not see me watching for a long time, changing the layout and the style of the roof. I tried to making it octagonal, but it's not as nice, but so I use a little bit more lower roof and definitely not using pagoda roofs because there's no octagonal pagoda roof style in The Sims 2, I believe. So yeah, and speaking of Chinese inspired builds, if you haven't seen the first time I tried to do a Chinese restaurant back in March last year, oh gosh, this is like almost 1 year of touring around everywhere around the world with The Sims 2 builds. I'm really surprised if I've gone this far for so long. And over the course of 10-11 months, I've been through like almost 4 continents and a handful of countries I've tried doing their builds. And if you have any suggestions on which country or style of building you want me to see, built in The Sims 2, please leave me a comment and give me some references for me to get inspired and check them out. Okay, moving on to the third house, which is a U-shaped house layout with a little courtyard squeezed in the middle. Obviously that courtyard is so narrow, I don't even know why I put that courtyard in the first place, but it gives a nice breath of fresh air to not have all houses all cramped in like that. And one side will be the living room and a bedroom on one side, and the other side will be the living, kitchen and dining room on the other side. Now this bedroom, only even though it has only one bedroom, but it houses 4 Sims squeezed in one small bedroom. I generally think families in most Asian countries actually share their kids' bedroom with the parents' bedroom. Separate bedrooms is kind of a luxury thing for most families. So in a lot of not so wealthy families, they all sleep in the same room, parents and kids alike. That's pretty common actually. And this house will be a little bit more fancier with much more nicer finishing, more of a mid-sized suburban house. But judging by him having a courtyard, definitely they have something more nicer furnishing to match with their economic, their class. So keeping with the earth tones, and I give a little splash of red, the living room and dining room area, and they give a little bit more depth, more darker wood instead of a medium to light wood in the other houses. And also use this usual wood panel with white walls. That is very common in a lot of Asian style builds I noticed so far. Just that the different styles or different builds are having different wood panels. Even in European ones, I also do this for the Tudor style. Also, the more longer I build this build, and more I realized this mod is actually pretty inspired by the Sims 3 Shangri-La back in the Sims 3 World Adventures expansion pack, and I was generally surprised the builds in the Sims 3 aren't that live up to the standards. If you want to see somebody roasting the Sims 3 World Adventures worlds, you have watched Rakowski's channel to build that he rates every house in the neighborhood from the base game of Sunset Valley all the way to, I believe, I think the latest one is one of the Sims 3 worlds. I think it's Dragon Valley. You can watch all his videos and see whether you agree or disagree on how good or not good Sims 3 builds are. By the way, I myself also give a little bit of my 2 cents rating EA builds, but it's mostly for The Sims 2. So far, I've already finished all the base game neighborhoods, both occupied and unoccupied lots, and I'm planning to do a new neighborhood pretty soon. You can actually vote which neighborhood you want me to rate next in my community polls. So if you want your favorite neighborhood to be rated, please do check out the community poll and vote your favorite Sims 2 neighborhood. I also do plan to do for the Sims 3, but not too soon, I believe. Once Sims 2 worlds are all finished, I believe it will be really quickly. So I will do my own version of the Sims 3 ratings Sims builds. So definitely my taste and Rakowski's taste will be a little bit different. Actually very different. So you may not agree with Rakowski or you may not agree with mine. That is okay. So everybody will have their own opinions on which build is nicer and which are not. So I will do mine pretty soon. So do check it out later on after the whole rounds of the Sims 2 rating EA builds in my retro review. And in my final house all the way at the top of the hill will be a most expensive house, a two-story house with 2 bedrooms for 4 Sims. And surprisingly, this house is the most boring one out of the lot because the layout is like a big square and you just divide it into different rooms. And the most of the furnishing is definitely the typical luxurious high fashion style kind of a Chinese look. Looks pretty rich and opulent. I believe that will be the highest rent once it's converted into the Sims 2. That one actually have a nice front porch, and I have a nice bird house, a bird cage for Sims to keep the pet bird. By the way, Sims 2 even have pet birds and doorbells in the pet expansion pack. Unlike the Sims 4, they have only cats and dogs, and if you want hamsters, will be a second stuff pack you need to buy. That is pretty unfortunate. And the windows, I use these round shoji windows. I don't think that's really standard Chinese style, but that's besides the point. They can afford to have a little bit different style because they are a little bit more on the wealthy side. The staircase squeezed in between the kitchen and the bathroom, and a small hallway that leads to the small bedrooms. Definitely some adjustments I made to make this house work, and I think I changed the walls on the outside a little bit different. I think changed like 2-3 times. Even in the final outlook, I decided to paint it a bit more on the two-tone style, yellow on the bottom and lighter yellow or white on top, to make it a little bit more different than the rest of the house, to make it less boring. And yeah, I wanted to have a public mahjong table on the outside of the park, but I just realized there is not enough space to do that. So I included the mahjong table in this household. I believe I want to make a story that this family actually has a lot of guests. People like to gather around to play mahjong in this family. Definitely a little bit more on the richer side. Most likely the chief villagers, the village's chief is staying here, or the landlord. Just a story to think about it. In the upstairs layout, I changed it up a bit after I decorate the bedrooms. Then I realized I can section off one part of the master bedroom into a study, so Sims can do some studying and play some chess. Gives a more nicer layout rather than just 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. Now for lighting, I did some really nice lighting, some street lamps at the side of the street, and some outdoor lamps that goes along the staircase that looks really nice. Goes along the staircase that looks really nice at night. As usual, all the lightings are pretty standard in the inside of the houses. The usual Asian inspired lamps are definitely overused at this point, and I kind of refrain myself from using the usual Chinese lanterns for lighting, because I don't know, because Chinese lanterns are a bit odd in The Sims 2, and we don't usually put lanterns unless it's a celebration. So yeah, and the colors in The Sims 2 are really odd. I only use, throughout my lifetime, you only use the red and yellow color scheme from color swatch from The Sims 2. I honestly have never seen any other color other than red, sometimes yellow, and I'm very surprised that even white is included in the swatches in The Sims 2. Now, never use white lanterns, especially white Chinese lanterns, to decorate your house, because white lanterns actually signifies death in Chinese culture. So never use it to decorate your house. It's an absolute no-no. It's very taboo. Now, as for landscaping, definitely a really hard and challenging part of landscaping, I'm going to plan to do a tutorial video about landscaping once I get enough research and enough tips to make a video about it. I myself are not the strongest in terms of landscaping the nice way possible. Generally, the usual plants are the maple tree and also the bamboo is definitely used very often, and as well as some water plants on the pond, some flower bushes along the pathway, and also in some of the houses. Generally keeping it very simple and scattered around a lot so it won't look bare. As well as the staircases, I actually use stone tiles instead of just terrain paint all over the staircases. I think it looks a little bit more structured and a little bit more refined to have staircases in 4 tiles. This is getting very long. I'm glad that actually, in a weird way, actually I don't have the first part of the video of terrain to the whole lot, because that will end up more than 1 hour of speed build, and I don't want to subject anybody who watches this video of that, because it might get too long and get boring. And this, even though you watch it in around 30 minutes and the actual time that actually used is way longer than that. So yeah, you imagine this takes up a lot of time, but it's actually worth it. The results, I really like how the outcome, the sloping hills, and also the staircases that goes around it is a nice layout for the whole lot. And yeah, hope you do like it as well. And please leave me a comment and how do you think and how to make it better. Obviously, not all of the things are Chinese inspired, as with all the other builds. They never actually represent the actual culture that I want to portray in the builds. This is as close as possible in the game. So do let me know what else is typically in Chinese household, what is not in traditional Chinese household, even though I'm familiar with Chinese culture, but there's definitely something new people might point out to me that I'm really all welcome kinds of feedback to help me improve in my builds. As for decorations inside the house, I tend to keep it light this time around, but as always, my habit, I cannot stand empty corners or empty walls, so I will add along the way as I build more, put more decorations. And even after I stop recording, I still put in more stuff to make it look nicer. So hopefully you like it as well as I do in terms of decorating the house. If you don't like it, then it's okay. You can always change it in after you download this build. So Chinese New Year. So what's up with how do you celebrate your Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year if you're celebrating? So basically, it's pretty much the same for me. I'm going to have reunion dinner, have some family get-togethers, have a chill, relaxing time. What about you? So do leave me a comment. And for your information, this year will be the year of the rabbit, and I am a rabbit. So I have played The Sims since The Sims 1 for almost 20 years now, more than 20 years now. So you can guess pretty much how old I am. I'm more of the older generation of Sims players. So yeah, although I'm fairly recent in the YouTube community, I am not that young. And if you have seen my face reveal back in a community post, even that picture was really old. So yeah, I don't really plan to show my face very often because first of all, I don't really have a really good camera yet. So number 2, I prefer it to record and then have a voiceover over it, and that's it. That's my video, and hopefully you still like it. Maybe in the future, I might get a camera and get live reactions or even stream. that's pretty much far off in the future, but I'm not really keen on planning on it. And in the meantime, so in this year, I have more builds coming out, and yes, stay tuned for more builds from other countries of the world. I might need to revisit some of the countries I've done before in a different style of build. Maybe one, if I did a community lot, I'll do a residential lot, and vice versa. So any suggestions you want me to do in my Around the World with The Sims 2, do leave me a comment. And also, I will continue with the retro review with the rating the neighborhoods and the lots in The Sims 2. I will, after Sims 2, maybe I'll do the Life Stories neighborhood as well as The Sims 3. Every now and then, I'm going to do The Sims 1 ones. I'm pretty sad that Sims 1 rating lots are not that popular in my Magic Town lots. That's the most interesting lots I've seen in a long time. Sims 2 and Sims 3 combined. For Sims 1, they have a little bit of a charm to it. And also for custom content review, I'm wrapping up for The Sims 3 for the stuff packs. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to do the expansion pack ones because the items are pretty much all over the place, because the users, custom content creators don't do everything in one set. They only pick and choose the ones that they really like and convert them into The Sims 2. Same goes for The Sims 4. I'm not really planning to do it the expansion pack ones, but if you do want it, you can suggest it in my comments under the videos that I uploaded before. I'm open with suggestions, because at one point I will run out of ideas, and Retro Sims gaming, it's going to be pretty limited in terms of context unless I think of something new that I can do. So yeah, any feedback is definitely welcome. I'm all up for suggestions. Now, coming back to the Chinese zodiac, as you may or may not know, there are 12 animals that represent the Chinese zodiac. In order of appearance, we start off with the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and lastly the pig. I plan to include each zodiac animal, the decor they have in each of the houses, but unfortunately that's not enough for them. I kind of give up halfway, but I do include the freezer bunny as the rabbit, the horse statue later on after the builds, and the dog leash represents the dog, and the fortune cat will be the tiger. That's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else that could be included in the game, but that's okay. I'm not really all out to try and find all kinds of things that are representative of the Chinese zodiac animals. It's fine. It's fun to include that one in the builds. I don't think all of them are included in the builds anyway, but it's worth a try. As I have mentioned, I am the rabbit. So what zodiac sign are you in Chinese zodiac? You can check it out in a lot of places in the websites and places apps that focus on Chinese zodiac. Basically, the year you're born in is basically your zodiac sign. And except people who are born around January or February, you have to check the first day of the particular year. Usually starts on the Chinese New Year or that day. So you may be born in the year of, let's say, the rabbit, but if you're born in January, you are most likely you're going to be the year before that, which is the tiger. So yeah, it's fun to know all these things, even though I don't personally believe in all of that. And every year, our fortune tellers actually tell, oh, this year will be good, this year will be not so good for this zodiac sign. Yeah, and there are actually more nuance to it. Some of my friends actually study Chinese zodiac a little bit more deeper. Not only the year you're born in, it's important in uh, analyzing the personality. It's also the month, the day, and even the time. So it is pretty interesting once you get into these zodiac signs, but do take it in a pinch of salt. That's not always be all and end all, and you can always change things. Just because they say you're stubborn doesn't mean you can't be open to suggestions or advice. So these things are not fixed, and yeah, sometimes are not really accurate at the same time. So yeah. Okay, we are reaching to the end of my speed build of a Chinese village. What do you think? Please leave me a comment. And after some off-camera editing for decorations, I will upload the screenshots up in my Tumblr and my Instagram page. So you give me a follow on these social media pages as well. And the link to download this build will be up down in the description later on. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to West Anime Sims for more updates on retro Sims content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Happy Lunar New Year, and bye bye!